college football's centennial year of 1969 saw the proud and powerful Southeastern Conference enjoy a splendid season. Its 10 teams compiled the best one-loss record of all major conferences for intersectional play. As usual, the SEC provided the most teams to compete in postseason bowl games, a total of 6. There were many spectacular games, a host of prominent individual stars who gained All-American honors and shattered 82 league and school records. 2.5 million spectators, more than ever before, saw the 52 home games, and these fans are promised even finer football in 1970 with so many stars due to return. We'll take stock of these men later, but now a trip around our 7-state area to see some of the many big plays of 1969. Mississippi State moved over to nearby Jackson to host Florida in an early conference clash in September. Mike Wade kicks into the end zone for State, where Andy Chaney makes a nice return. Sophomore Tommy Durrant streaks 14 yards on this nifty early run for Coach Ray Graves' Gators en route to an opening touchdown. Sophomore Mike Rich breaks through for an 18-yard touchdown run with the game only 4 minutes old to give Florida an early 7-0 lead. Little Tommy Farr was the 1968 All-SEC quarterback for Coach Charlie Sharer's Bulldogs. Let's watch him on a couple of neat tosses. First to Sammy Milner for 19. Then another Farr to Milner pass for 12 that gave Mississippi State a touchdown that cut Florida's lead to 13-7 at this point. All told, 26 points were scored in a wild first period to set the tempo of a high-scoring game. Now one of the longest plays of the year in the Southeastern Conference. Tommy Farr passes from his end zone to Eric Hoggett. He races 87 yards all the way to the Florida 11 before he's corralled. On the next play, Farr passes to end Sammy Milner for the touchdown that enables Mississippi State to cut the Florida lead 19-14. In the third period, Florida leads 25-14. Joe Reed hits Hoggett for a touchdown pass, and it's 25-21. But Florida's potent off to win 47-35. The new head coach of the Kentucky Wildcats, John Ray, met a Southeastern Conference foe for the first time when Mississippi invaded Lexington in late September. Archie Manning completes a 4-yard pass to Jim Poole, Jr. Manning passes again on the drive, this one for 4 yards to Floyd Franks of Biloxi. Kentucky holds. Jim Poole makes good on a field goal to give Ole Miss a 3-0 lead early in the second period. Just a short time later, the amazing Archie Manning makes another sensational play. From his own 36, Archie breaks loose. He dashes 64 yards for an Ole Miss touchdown. This puts the Rebels ahead 9-0. In the third period, Bernie Scruggs to a determined Jim Grant for the Wildcats, a pass that is good for 11 yards to the Kentucky 41. Later on the drive, Houston Hogg makes this fine effort on a big third down play for Kentucky. He gets a first down at the Ole Miss 6. And Bernie Scruggs rolls out to take it in for Kentucky. The extra point made it Kentucky 10-9, the final score in a big upset. One of the greatest games in all SEC history was that high-scoring thriller in Birmingham when Alabama played Ole Miss. Junior George Rannick of Alabama takes this one for 67 yards to set up a second-quarter touchdown. Then from the 17, Bubba Sawyer takes a pitch out from Scott Hunter and scores, capping a 96-yard drive to put Alabama ahead 14-7 over Ole Miss late in the first half. Late in the third quarter, Ole Miss trails 21-14, but this Archie Manning pass to Jim Poole for 46 yards puts the Rebels deep in Alabama territory. Manning is driven out of his pocket, but makes one of his many big plays of the game. He darts in for the touchdown to end an 80-yard drive and narrow the Alabama lead to 21-20. Now it's in the fourth quarter with Ole Miss leading 32-27. But here Scott Hunter passes to sophomore David Bailey for 13. Hunter passes complete again to Bailey. This one for 21 yards to put the Crimson Tide on the Rebel 14. With Alabama fighting the clock, Hunter passes to Rannigan of 14 yards and the touchdown. Alabama wins the cliffhanger by a final 33-32. A torrid rivalry renews in Birmingham, where a record crowd of more than 72,000 see Alabama battle Tennessee. George Rannigan begins with a 16-yard run back to start the game. Alabama's Scott Hunter hits this pass for 7 yards to tailback Johnny Musso in this early action. But star linebacker Jack Reynolds, number 64, stops him for Tennessee. Tennessee draws first blood on this touchdown pass by Bobby Scott to Stella in Gary Chris on this 5-yard shot. This score ended a 52-yard drive by the Vols, and it gave them a 7-0 lead. Now we see another big play for Tennessee. Frank Mann punts for Alabama from his 31. Bobby Majors, from a famous football family, takes it in. And he zigzags his way 71 yards for a Tennessee touchdown. Watch this blocking. Still in the first period, the Vols of Doug Dickey now lead 14-0. Alabama rallies for a late touchdown with this pass, Hunter to Husband for 16, helping to set it up. And Johnny Musso takes a swing pass from Hayden, but this time Tennessee has it wrapped up 41-14. That same week, Kentucky plays host to powerful LSU at Lexington. We pick up play with Hillman passing to West for the Tigers. It set up a touchdown to give LSU a 7-0 first quarter lead. And here it is by the way of the flying feet of LSU sophomore Tommy Casanova as he takes it in for the score. Now we watch Kentucky sophomore quarterback Bernie Scruggs of Atlanta bring his club back to field goal range. He scats 33 yards to the LSU 13. Stalled by the tough Tiger defense, Kentucky goes for a field goal, and junior Bob Jones hits it from 32 yards out. LSU leads 7-3. LSU strikes back in the second quarter, and first we see sophomore Alan Shorey burst for 18. Quarterback Buddy Lee hits this 26-yard scoring pass to end Randy Toms to make it 14-3 LSU. The Wildcats try a rally, still the second quarter, as Bill Duke gets 15 yards on a draw play to the Kentucky 41. Now Scruggs fires a pass to sophomore end Jim Grant for 8 yards to midfield, but the Kentucky drive dies. LSU leading 23-3 in the third period. Hillman passes for 11 to Bill Stover at the Kentucky 36. And Hillman comes right back with a scoring pass to Miles to end a 59-yard drive that gives LSU a 30-3 lead, and the Tigers win it 37-10. High-scoring Florida hosts Vanderbilt at Gainesville in late October. Vanderbilt trails 21-7 in the second period as tailback Doug Matthews rips for 14 yards to the Gator 25. On the big fourth down and 4 play, rookie quarterback Watson Brown passes to Jim Cunningham. Then Brown slips in for the score to make it 21-14. Reeves gets Florida going again with a big 3rd and 9 pass to Bill Dowdy. And now the nation's top passer for 69 hits Carlos Alvarez for a big play in Bandy territory. Reeves to Tommy Durrance for this touchdown pass. Florida leads 27-20. The Gators go on to win 41-20 after 2 Reeves to Alvarez touchdown passes. $56,000 at Athens sat in on a big league victory for the Georgia Bulldogs over the Kentucky Wildcats. We pick up the action early in the first quarter as Mike Cabin passes to receiver Charles Whittemore for 13 on a Georgia first down. Now Cabin hits split end Dennis Hughes for 4, but Kentucky holds on this series. Kentucky on offense, still the first period. Roger Gann getting 3. Now Bill Duke scraps for 3 more, but short of a first down at the 23. So Dave Hart boots it, a long one of 45 yards. Junior safety man Swindle nabs Georgia, and here he comes. all the way from his own 25 to the Kentucky 9. A 65-yard sensational punt return to set up the game's first touchdown. And here it is, Cavan to Whittemore. And Georgia takes a 7-0 lead midway of the first quarter. Mike Cavan does some ad-libbing, turns a bobble into a big bonus, hits in Dennis Hughes for 39 yards. And Georgia's at the Kentucky 7. From the 2, Julian Smiley of Savannah takes it in for the touchdown that gives Georgia a 23-0 lead in the third quarter. Let's take one more look at this game in slow motion. A shot of Bernie Scruggs passing for Kentucky to fullback Raynard Macon. But this was Georgia's day. They win 30-0. LSU took its 6-0 record to Jackson, Mississippi to meet the Rebels, who had a 3-3 record. This long has been one of the SEC's most torrid rivalries. Let's watch Jimmy Gilbert move to the Ole Miss 16 on this run. Two plays later, Gilbert dives over for the score. LSU leads Ole Miss 7-0 in the first quarter. But here comes Archie. In the second period, sensational Archie Manning makes this fine run around left end for the Rebels' first touchdown. A great athlete in action, and he's only a junior. The Rebels missed the point. They trail 7-6. LSU in action in the third period. This fine 32-yard touchdown pass, Hillman to Andy Hamilton. But the Tigers from Baton Rouge ahead 23-12. In the fourth quarter, Ole Miss trails 23-18. Manning hits Bo Boeing with this pass to the 28. A bit later, Manning completes a big pass to tailback Leon Phelps, just short of the goal line, as Tommy Casanova makes the tackle. And the next play, Manning sneaks in for the score, which turned out to be the final, Ole Miss 26-23. A week later at famous Dudley Field in Nashville, the Commodores host Kentucky. Early in the opening period, the men of Coach Bill Pace start a touchdown drive with a pass from Brown to John Ingram, good for 10 yards to the Kentucky 31. Dave Strong scores the touchdown, and with the extra point by Ernie Perez, it gave the Commodores an early 7-0 lead. Everything went well for the Commodores on this day, including this punt return. Dave Hart was the Wildcat punter, and he kicked this one to Watson Brown. And the Cookeville sophomore took off for a 62-yard touchdown return. This play gave Vandy a resounding 42-0 lead by midway the third period. The Wildcats from Lexington kept hustling, however, and here sophomore quarterback Steve Tingle hits Jim Grant at midfield. Tingle comes right back with this pass to Steve Parrish to the Vandy 1. And Houston Hogg takes it in for the final score, 42-6. As the season enters the home stretch, let's go back to Athens. Another near 60,000 capacity crowd as Georgia hosts Auburn on a chilly afternoon. On the first possession by Auburn, tailback Mickey Zofko makes a 39-yard gallop to the Georgia 41. Pat Sullivan then passes for the Tigers to Terry Beasley for 12 to the Georgia 26. A couple of plays later, Sullivan connects with Connie Frederick, 24 yards and an Auburn touchdown. It's 7-0 Tigers. Mike Cavan hits Mike Green for 10 on this pass as Georgia fights back. Julian Smiley helps set up a Bulldog field goal with this 12-yard run to the Auburn 15. On fourth down, Jim McCullough makes good this 32-yard field goal to narrow the Auburn lead to 7-3. Sullivan again hits Terry Beasley as this sophomore combination clicks for 41 yards down to the Georgia 15. After moving to the 1, Auburn takes it in with Mickey Zofko carrying for the second touchdown for Coach Shug Jordan's team, and they win 16-3 to keep their title hopes alive. At their famed Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, the brawny LSU men of Charlie McClendon hooked up with Mississippi State. First play from scrimmage, Mike Hillman passes to sophomore Tommy Casanova for 32 yards. Hillman passes to Miles for 11 yards, to the Bulldog 8. After fullback Eddie Ray executes a beautiful fake, Hillman goes in from the 3-yard line for an LSU touchdown to make it 7-0. Pushed back to their own 4, the Bulldogs send Steve Whaley on this sweep to the 7. Further upfield, Tommy Farr has to scramble under a rush, but the field general manages to get 5 on this fine effort. Again rushed hard, Farr gets this pass away for 18 yards to David Smith before Casanova gets him at the Tiger 40. But the drive bogs down. Here's Buddy Lee for LSU in the second period, dashing 14 yards to the State 12. To climax a 60-yard drive, Jimmy Gilbert goes in from the 2 to give LSU a 28-0 lead with a minute until halftime. In the final quarter, battling Mississippi State fights back from a big deficit with this pass by Farr to Partridge to the LSU 6, setting up their only score. But it was too little, too late. Final score, 61-6. Now for the shocker of the year on the SEC as Johnny Vaught's Ole Miss Rebels snap a Tennessee 7-game win streak. It started early with Ole Miss on an opening drive. Archie Manning to Floyd Franks. It's good for 38 yards down to the Tennessee 3-yard line. And Manning sneaks in for the first touchdown less than 5 minutes into the game to put Ole Miss ahead 7-0. The Volunteers' first scrimmage play after that score finds fullback Kurt Watson getting 3 yards out to the Tennessee 14. Don McCleary picks up 2 yards. But Scott's attempted pass to Ken DeLong typifies Tennessee's frustrating day. Now let's watch a slow-motion study of an Archie Manning pass to tight end Jim Poole that leads to a second Ole Miss score. This one for 17 yards to the Tennessee 7 before Tim Priest makes the stop. The score came in an unusual way. On 4th down, just short of the goal line, Manning fumbles, but alert tailback Randy Reed recovers in the end zone to give Mississippi the touchdown. Ole Miss went on to crush Tennessee 38-0. The final week of the regular season finds Ole Miss invading Starkville to battle traditional foe Mississippi State. A Farr to Smith 41-yard pass led to the state touchdown by Zarang. It put Mississippi State in the lead 7-0 early in the first quarter. This pass, Tommy Farr, again to David Smith for another Bulldog touchdown from 7 yards out, came midway the second period to tie the game at 14-14. But the man of Manning is hard to contain, and he rallies Ole Miss with this sensational 58-yard scoring play on a pass to wingback Vernon Studdard. This play early in the fourth quarter gave the Rebels a 28-14 lead. Competitive State fought back for the late score. First a pass from Tommy Farr to Sammy Milner. Then a pass to David Smith, who gets 24 or more for Mississippi State down near the goal line. And with only seconds to play, Farr hits Milner for a touchdown. And Ole Miss wins 48-22. Next stop, the Sugar Bowl. Another great intra-state rivalry in the SEC pits Auburn against Alabama in Birmingham before 70,000 fans on a brisk day in late November. Johnny Musso shows why he's rated one of the league's finest sophomore running backs in this 11-yard dash to the Tiger 32. And Alabama draws first blood on this field goal from 32 yards out by kicking specialist Orrin Buck for Bear Bryant's men. But Auburn came to play too, and here's Mickey Zofko ripping off 18 yards to the Bama 31 in second quarter action. Pat Sullivan hits Terry Beasley for a 21-yard pass play down to the 10 to set up a Tiger touchdown. And here it is with Wallace Clark slashing in from the 1 to put Auburn ahead 7-3 with 5 minutes until halftime. The Tide fights back as Hunter passes for 11 yards to Bubba Sawyer, down to the War Eagle 7, with only 2:22 left in the second period. Hunter passes to Husband to give Alabama an 11-7 lead. Auburn came back like gangbusters to break the game open with 3 quick touchdowns before this big play for Bama. George Raniger takes a kickoff by John Riley, and the speedy Raniger makes the longest run of the year in the Southeastern Conference, 100 yards to a touchdown. But Auburn wins 49-26. A third big traditional rivalry for a season finale pits Vanderbilt against Tennessee. Bobby Scott goes 22 after his receivers were covered in the first quarter action. Just before the first period ended, Scott hits wingback Lester McLean for a 23-yard touchdown to put the Vols ahead 7-0. Watson Brown leads a quick Commodore comeback. He completes this 14-yard pass to Kurt Chesley to the Tennessee 39. And a couple of plays later from the 25, Doug Matthews goes all the way up the middle for a Vandy touchdown to tie the game 7-7 in the second quarter. In the fourth quarter, after Tennessee had built a big lead, this long run helped increase it. Steve Wohl breaks for a sensational 82-yard dash before Vandy monster man Christy Houck gets him just short of the goal line. Watson blasts in, and Tennessee's lead zooms to 40-13 midway the final quarter. The Commodores fired back with Matthews, the league's leading rusher, getting 27 yards to the Tennessee 6. And Brown completes a touchdown pass to Chesley again, but Tennessee holds on to win 40-27. Offense will be the byword in the Southeastern Conference next year. Ole Miss quarterback Archie Manning will pack stadiums everywhere the Rebels play. Archie Manning is already a preseason candidate in the running for the Heisman Trophy. Florida's John Rees will be a junior next season. What will he do for an encore after leading the nation in passes completed as a sophomore? When it comes to receivers next season, you can start with Rees' battery mate Carlos Alvarez, who as a sophomore became an All-American before he became an American citizen. The Cuban refugee could be tops in the nation in 1970. And don't overlook the return of Mississippi State's Sammy Milner, who finished 6th in the nation with 64 catches. Kurt Watson of Tennessee, who was 2nd in rushing as a sophomore, is back for a shot at number 1. The SEC scoring champion Tommy Durrance of Florida also returns and could be one of the highest scorers in the nation. He finished 6th last year with 110 points. Alabama's Johnny Musso will be only a junior next season, but his 13 touchdowns this year shows he has a great future. Although offense will be one of the most talked about facets of SEC football this fall, defense will not be a forgotten word. The LSU Tigers, who led the nation in defense against rushing, will again be hard to score upon. Such returnees as linebacker Mike Anderson, number 45. Casanova, number 37, when not scoring points, will be preventing them from his secondary position. Football year 1969 was a great one in the SEC. But you ain't seen nothing yet. Watch Campaign 1970. It should be even greater.